everyone, thanks for joining me for this video. Today I'm going to be working on a section of my side yard, just a little tiny section that I'm going to be using to do some different tests on. So I just want to share with you kind of the process of what I'm doing to keep you up to date with all the tests that I'm doing in my yard this year. Let's give you a little more information on what's going on. Alright, so just keep you updated on what I'm doing. I'm going to be using this side yard piece that I have here as kind of my test plot, if you will. We'll call it a Swardman test plot A. And I'm going to be using this section here, just a little tiny section, to kind of do all my testing as far as heights go and what things are doing without it being leveled. And we're just going to start out there. I'm not sure how long I can go without leveling some things, because if you were here you'd be able to tell just how bumpy it is, but we're just going to have to see what happens there. I'm just going to try to test this first without doing too much work to it, just to kind of see how it responds to the reel mower, how it responds to being cut lower. And also we're going to have a lot of traffic on this section of our yard because it's kind of where everyone's going to be coming in and out when we have our shed built. So I didn't want to do too much crazy stuff to it because I just knew that it wasn't going to be able to withstand all that traffic and look perfect. So I was kind of planning on some kind of renovation for it, but I just don't know exactly what, and that'll probably happen in the fall. Okay, so let's take you through what I did real quick. I didn't film it, but I did dethatch the whole area. It was looking a little bit just like there was some dormant stuff in there, or just a bunch of stuff left in there yet. And then as I'm just bagging it up right now, so I'll show you a little clip of that here, just the last couple strips to kind of show you how much of the thatch came out of there. And then I'm gonna hit this with some fertilizer. I have some old stuff left from last fall, so this is just kind of a quick nitrogen boost here, and it is warming up enough that I'm not going to be too worried about a flush of growth, but I actually kind of want to jump start this a little bit to see what it's going to look like here with the reel mower. So I'm going to give it a hit of that nitrogen, then everything needs to be watered in because it's just really dried out already. That's kind of the plan here. I just wanted to take you through those steps, kind of get you an idea of what I'm doing. So here we go. Somewhere back here in my mess of things as I wait for the shed to be built, I have some old fertilizer, and here it is. So this is the fall stuff. I have just a tiny bit of milorganite left in this bag from last season, so I might as well throw that down too. So what this is just some actual like fall winterizer from last year, but so it doesn't really necessarily mean that it's a winterizer or that it has to be used before winter, I should say. It's just kind of a term to kind of know that it's going to be more of a quick release formula. And if we look here at the bag, we're looking at 20% nitrogen, 20% is urea nitrogen, which is going to be usually your quicker release. And then it says right here, it's 5% slow release available through the coated urea. So there is a little bit of slow release in there, but it's going to mainly be more of a quick release. And that's kind of what I want here, because I want to jumpstart this thing a little bit quicker so that I can do some testing on it and see what it's actually going to look like when we kind of get a good amount of growth there. Right now it's lagging behind just because the season is kind of lagging behind a little bit. I'm going to push this one just because we're doing some testing. Then of course I just have the old milorganite. Just throw that down with it. It's going to be a little bit slower release right now anyway, so we're going to just do those two together, and then we'll see what happens after I put some watering together on this section. Okay, that came out pretty close there as far as the fertilizer goes, but I have just a little touch left there. I don't really want to keep it hanging around just for no reason here, so I'll probably just throw it on the other small section of the kind of boulevard area of my street there. And that's kind of another test section that I'm doing. I'm just attempting to think about what I'm doing there right now, if I'm going to dethatch it or if I'm just going to kind of leave it and kind of compare the dethatching versus non-dethatching. So that's probably what I'm going to do. But we'll just see here. I'm going to throw down that fertilizer, and that area got watered yesterday, so it's already looking a little bit better than these other areas. Alright, the fertilizer is on, the milorganite is on. I didn't really have a lot of milorganite, so I set it down to about a half rate. Set it down to about 6 on my spreader, which is about half of what I normally go as far as the setting there. And I didn't get quite a full coverage, so I just did the tiny little section of the square there and just kind of wanted to get rid of that little partial bag there. But it wasn't a whole lot of milorganite, so I don't anticipate that doing a whole lot there because I really didn't get a full application down. But next thing I need to do is water this, and it's going to help to water in that synthetic fertilizer that I use just because it's activated a little bit more by water in general. And in case you haven't seen what I use for my sprinkler system, since I don't have an in-ground sprinkler system, I kind of rigged up something here, and this is just a little look at it, but this is an in-ground sprinkler head, and then I just have these little spike bases that I attach them to. Put hoses in between here, attach them, usually 3 or 4 at a time you can do, and there you go. You go ahead and spray, and you can move them wherever you want in your yard. So it's kind of handy if you don't want to put in something permanent, and I really haven't put in something permanent overall just because we weren't really sure what we were doing with staying here at this location at our house forever, and I don't want to put in a whole big system and then end up moving somewhere. But as of right now, that's not really in the plans, so I may end up someday putting in some kind of system, but I would want to do a whole big renovation at that time, just because when you trench in all the lines and do all that stuff, it's best to just kind of do a big renovation at that time, in my opinion. What I'm going to do with these, I'll just show you quickly, but I'll also link to a video that I have where I first kind of put these together. I'll have some link to these pieces in general so you can put this together if you'd like to do something like that. Let me show you how it works. Alright, it's really windy out today, so this isn't exactly the greatest example of how these things work, but I'll show you a little shot here, just kind of the general idea of how they work. And you're hopefully going to want to water not in the middle of a windy day like I am today, but this is just the general idea. Check out that other video in the description for how to build it, and I'll put some more of the parts and all that in the description as well. That is it for today's testing. We'll get this thing watered in, and in hopefully a couple days I'll be able to show you what it's looking like, and we'll be able to do some more mowing on it. So I hope you'll check out some more videos on what I've been up to in my yard. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.